That's interesting, honey. Well, in any event, you can get that thrill back in your life, and that's kind of a junky thing to do, but I get it.
Yeah.
I've heard people like put on wigs and make up
Yeah.
accents.
Fantasy
And
part. Fantasy.
yeah, there's a lot of that. We're going to be talking
Yeah.
about that today,
Oh,
but it
well.
says, but be forewarned here, the steamy text messages land a couple in a Dubai jail. OMG. Like, can you go to, you can't, I wish people could go to jail in America for texting illicit things. Because half of the people that are on the freeway in my way texting would be in jail. And it would make my commute easier. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, what happened is the pair who worked as a cabin crew for the Emirates, is that how do you pronounce that, Anila? Emirates airline, each were sentenced to 3 months in jail, the authorities said. Court documents only gave their initials and their ages, 42 and 47 for him. The court ruling said there wasn't enough evidence to determine whether the couple had an affair, which would have likely brought a harsher sentence. They spent 3 months in jail, these folks, huh? I mean,
It's a great airline, though.
yeah, it's a great airline, but what? Your flight attendants are humping each other virtually, okay? This is not comforting to me. I want people to be doing something other than dry humping through the virtual wave of my airplane. That's also creepy. I'm creeped out already here, people. Okay, anyway, earlier this week, a British couple said they will appeal a 1-month jail sentence for exchanging a fiery kiss in a restaurant. The two Britons were sentenced.
What kind of police do we have out there?
I don't know. This is
Where'd you find this stuff?
in the United States. We have bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
We just cannot be tracking down all the sexting, texting, nakedness. The virtual humping. We just can't keep up with it. There's too much here.
Yeah, and what about having more sex in your marriage part here?
Oh, right. Okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna get to that right now. Hey, so how do you have more sex in your marriage? Who's complaining?
I'm
Who
not.
do you think it is? The
both-
women?
The men.
Oh, really? Mostly.
Well, what happened is the studies, some of the things we did a little research, we went back, we have a whole library on this aspect. So we went back into some of that and did some recent research, and it seems that the men there are two different kinds of complaints. Men complain about not enough, and women complain about not good enough or not quality enough.
Oh.
So how do you have that conversation? I want
That's
more,
rough.
he wants more of
He
anything.
doesn't care what kind.
And she wants
Better.
than what he's giving. So we have some serious issues here, and just in terms of terminology. More isn't, quantity and quality is part of the argument here.
Yeah.
Maybe men, we need to slow down a little bit and find out what's going on. I always go back to, why don't you guys sit and talk about what's going on with each of you? But the quality, quantity.
Yeah, but who talks about it, honey? Come on. I didn't talk during sex until I was
didn't
like...
say during sex. I might want to consider a little conversation the day before, maybe.
About what? Okay, when was the last time you felt comfortable going, hey, let's have a serious conversation about sex and our genitalia and how we approach it?
I'm
What
married
are
to you.
people
When was the last time it would have been with you?
Prior to me, I talk about everything. But even that's a little uncomfortable
Yeah,
for
it's
people,
uncomfortable,
isn't it?
and maybe that's why we're in such the mess that we're in.
Why
we're not
is
willing.
it uncomfortable?
Why is it uncomfortable? Because I think that people feel like they're going to be left or
Rejected? Are we embarrassed?
Or yeah, I think so.
So
I think
what do we do?
we shame is a big issue around sexuality, and or just sort of this animalistic urge, and people don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, because here's what I think happens in all this research David did. You're like a maniac. I love you. You're like such a social scientist. I love that about you. I mean, my husband, you put him on anything, he'll be like at the center of the earth, finding the one thing you need to understand the origin of this issue. But one of the things I think that happens is we have all these implicit implicit sort of agreements, right? We're married, so we should have X amount of sex, which means that you're okay, right? These are beliefs that are unexamined by many of us. So you get this couple that comes together that both kind of believes that, right? If you're not having sex for, a long period of time, it's usually an indicator that something's wrong. So we both have these beliefs that are unspoken. And here's what I think happens. The guy, probably, I hear this a lot, the guy's always the initiator, or he feels like he's always the initiator. And it happens for women too. And then he gets turned down or she gets turned down. And then you start to get resentful. But like you said, David, nobody talks about it. literally, they don't sit down and invite a deep, meaningful conversation. What they do is they get angry at each other, and you start dealing with the anger versus the what's motivating them wanting to be connected and why. What do you think about that?
Well, I think we're still steeped in our puritanical, part of us are still steeped in that puritanical piece, and we're moving out of that, but we don't know how to shake some of that and have a real conversation where it's just actually just part of our relationship.
Well, so what are some things that guys could say to their wife, for example? Because I love scripts. I really do, especially when I'm faced with a situation that I find frightening or brings up shame or I'm a little uncomfortable. I love when people offer sound bites that I can try on and find my own truth in. For example, how would you approach your wife if she's not,